Welcome. We're here. We're back. A little bit late, but we're here. So unfortunately, we don't have any big news for this week's show. But welcome, and hopefully we'll be able to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. If you have anything in the chat or anything like that, feel free to drop it in. If not, we have a little bit of a show sheet, so we'll be able to.
There's a little bit of news, not much, but
a little bit. I have a lot of personal news. As you can see, I was hit in the face.
Yeah.
That kind of hurts, but it's a little annoying.
Just a tad.
Yeah.
Power through.
I will.
Dave.
Welcome, Dave. Yeah, a lot of big news. If you didn't see it on Twitter today, I passed 20,000 followers today. So, yay me.
Congratulations. Let's go.
Thank you.
Milestones.
It's been a long time coming. I know that with every follower, the algorithm goes more in your favor. And, I hate to say that it matters because, realistically, really any difference between in someone's fantasy advice based on how many followers they have? Really? No. But unfortunately, just in the way that Twitter works, you have more followers, more people see everything you do, you get more engagement, et cetera, et cetera. So even though it's maybe a little bit unfair, it does matter. So, thanks, Dave. And yeah, also a lot of celebrities followed me last night. It was so weird. They all kind of came all at once. Probably because I did that post about if you could have one fantasy analyst, you bet your life on one fantasy. They were all tagged. So they got incessantly notified by one of my posts. Maybe they just decided to follow me while they were there. But yeah, Matthew Berry, Matt Waldman, Joe Dolan, John Paulson, and there's another one in there. My memory is not what it was. But anyway, I just appreciate John Hansen too. John Hansen and John Paulson. I got those. They're both of them. Forgot there was two in there. But anyway, yeah, just appreciate everyone who followed me. Appreciate everyone who supported me to get me to this 20K milestone. For my purposes, this show, nothing's going to change. We're going to continue doing the show. I'm going to continue doing all the Twitter stuff as I always did. Nothing's really going to change. The one thing I do have on the horizon is if I'm going to start, my Patreon is becoming big enough to support me, make it worth my while to do this. I'm going to start doing some Patreon only shows. I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to do that, but I am going to do that. So look for that. It's coming up. And it's an incentive to sign up for my Patreon. It'll be available to all the tiers. But yeah, there's something to look for. But other than that, let's go.
Yeah, what do you want to start with? There's not a lot, but there's kind of a lot.
Well, yeah, there isn't a lot. Let's just start from the top and go down then. It'll put in the order that we had it.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I think we've talked about this on the show enough.
We have.
That people around the league know that Green Bay doesn't believe in Jordan Love. I think we've discussed that enough. I don't think we have to spend too much time on that.
Well, you never know. This could be someone's first time listening to the podcast. It could be their first time ever interacting with our content, my content. So, they might not know how I feel. To summarize it very quickly, I agree with these reports, the perception. They can't go to Jordan Love. Jordan Love sucks. Jordan Love is a bust. They said that he had a lot to work on after year 2. They didn't have to say that. They could have said, we really like, Aaron is our starter, but we really like what Jordan Love is doing in practice. He's shown a lot of progression, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. It's not what they said. They said that he has a lot to work on. There's a lot of room for improvement. Not good. 2 years after a first round pick, I don't want to hear about room for improvement. What have you been doing for 2 years? You 2 years to improve. So I don't want to hear about that. That sounds like a failure to me. And, what do we think about failure? Do we want failure good or bad? It's very bad. So, I don't want that on my NFL team. I don't want that on my fantasy team. And I really do think that they are going to do everything possible to retain Aaron Rodgers. And even if they don't, I think they will look at all other options other than Jordan Love. I just think Jordan Love is not it, personally.
Yeah, can you imagine for that NFC title game if they drafted someone like Michael Pittman or T. Higgins to help out Aaron Rodgers?
They might have won. I can very much imagine it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I mean, I don't think we have to add on much. We've discussed it a lot.
Yeah, there's nothing else to add. It's just, we're going to know. I mean, we have to find out the answer to this soon, right?
That's coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be coming up.
Drafts coming up soon.
The franchise tag deadline for Devontae Adams is coming up. So we're going to know. We're going to know very soon, what's up.
Yes, certainly. I mean, if they don't keep Adams, Rodgers is gone for sure. So they might try and trade. It's probably most likely scenario.
Keep Adams. I mean, I think they're going to franchise tag Adams no matter what, and then if he wants to walk, they'll try to get something in return or trade.
200%.
That was a very good point.
Yeah,
this is a very, very good point from Dave again. When a team speaks not so positively about a player negatively, that matters. Yeah, positive stuff is generally not as big of a deal. That's true. Yeah, anything bad, I don't want to hear about anything bad. If we hear about anything bad, that's very bad. Triple what it actually said. Usually.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. It's because everything's always like, oh, his recovery's going well.
Sure. Yeah.
He played well this week. A lot of talking up. So I agree. Talking down, you gotta amplify that. But moving on here, the Bucs have done their extensive homework on acquiring a veteran quarterback. So they're going to be big players in the quarterback market. Their team's still good, technically. They haven't lost anyone in free agency yet.
That's true. Yet is the key word. I mean, look, I think that Russell Wilson, I really don't think is going anywhere. Personally, I don't see that happening. Deshaun Watson, though, I mean, I've linked him to the Panthers the whole time, but there's no reason why he couldn't go to the Bucs. The only difference is that the Bucs don't have a pick to offer like the Panthers' number 6 overall pick. The Bucs don't have anything like that to offer in exchange. That's the biggest difference, which is why I still think the Panthers are the favorite to acquire Watson. But I wouldn't count the Bucs out. I'm sure they're interested. I don't know if they have the assets to get it done.
Yeah. So what I've heard on the Twitter is they're not going to diminish their asking price for Watson. It's still going to be 3 firsts and 5 to 7 assets. So like, it's going to be tough. Their asking price has not gone down.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think that they're going to need probably to settle for something a little bit less than that. But, if they can get a top pick in this class, I think that might, like Carolina. What if Carolina offered the 6 overall, 23 and 24? That's not enough. I mean, you're going to do better than that. And who's going to offer you better than that? I don't think so. So I think they're going to have to settle for something like that. And that is still pretty good. 6th overall, 23 and 24 is good. Firsts there is good return for any player. I mean, how much more do you want? Yeah. And that'll give you an opportunity. They could either decide to take a quarterback this year, or if they don't want to, they'll have opportunity to take a quarterback next year.
Look, I like Davis Mills. I'm a Davis Mills fan. So
Davis Mills is okay. Like, he's okay. We're talking about, he's not even Jimmy Garoppolo. We're not even talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. We're talking about, who's a good example of someone I think is the same. We're talking about Teddy Bridgewater. We're talking about Teddy Bridgewater, someone who is fine. He's fine. You can start him. He'll be okay. Not comparing the style of play. I'm talking about the skill level. It's probably around the 30th best quarterback on planet Earth. You don't want that to be your starter. You don't want that to be your franchise guy, but he can start. So I don't know. I mean, he could progress, right? I mean, there's always a possibility of progression. Like, he could get better in year 2. My guess is he doesn't. I do think he gets the opportunity to do it, though. But I would say he's not going to be their 2023 starter. I think it'll be someone else.
There's no reason he shouldn't start 2022. They have to build that team from the ground up. Like,
oh no, there's a reason. I mean, if they trade with the Panthers and could take Malik Willis at 6th overall, I'd do it all day. I do it all day. All day I do it. I mean, I can throw Davis Mills out to go for Malik Willis. I'll do that every day. Every day easily. Davis Mills just has no upside. None at all. I think Davis Mills, best case scenario. What's the best case scenario for Davis Mills? Derek Carr's career? Yeah. I think that's generous. I don't think he's even that talented. Andy Dalton's career, I actually think is about right. I think that's the best. Remember that Andy Dalton was not that bad, but I think Andy Dalton's career is like the best case scenario. And that if that's your ceiling, I'm fine moving on for someone like Malik Willis, who's much more exciting, personally. So.
I just wouldn't want to put someone like Malik Willis on that team, though.
But that's a separate story. You're thinking from our perspective, but what about from their perspective?
Yeah, I'm adding some logic to this discussion. We do know they traded DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson, so.
Yeah, I mean, we will see what happens. I just I would like to see Davis Mills get a chance. I do like him. It's not like I dislike him, but if there's an opportunity to get a better quarterback, I think they should explore that. As of now, I just think the number 3 overall pick is too high to spend on a quarterback. There's someone in the market, though, I think, as well, that if like someone like Sam Howell falls to their 2nd round pick, make the pick. Get a second opportunity at a quarterback. Spending a 2nd round pick on a good quarterback prospect is fine. If they don't work out, they don't work out. I'd be fine with that. I actually think that's not that unlikely that Sam Howell falls out of the 1st round entirely at this stage. I see that as a 50-50 proposition.
I mean, yeah, he's in most mocks, he's the clear quarterback 4 right now, behind Pickett, Corral, and Willis. So
for me, I would set the over-under on quarterbacks in the 1st round at 3.5.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear there's going to be 3. Pretty clear that there might be 4, and pretty clear there's not going to be 5 or more. So it's either going to be 3 or 4. I think that Willis, Corral, and Pickett are pretty much a lock to go in the 1st round at this point. And Howell is the one who's kind of on the line for me. I've seen Strong and Ritter in there occasionally, but I highly doubt it.
I've seen Ritter in there a lot recently. At 32 to the Lions. I know I don't buy it either, but I've seen it a lot in these mocks.
As the 4th quarterback taken, or as the 5th?
As the 4th.
So Howell falling out, but that would still be 4 then. As Howell, yeah. So you've seen him passing Howell, not getting a 5th quarterback in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's possible. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I do think there's those 3. The top 3, I think, will go in the 1st round.
Yeah, I think the Saints are going to determine what happens. Honestly, if they take a quarterback or not, I think that'll be the deciding factor.
Well, yeah, I think Washington at 11 is going to take a quarterback. Period. Whether they acquire like Jameis Winston or Jimmy Garoppolo or not, they did this they didn't. The Bears did this last time. Actually, not Washington. The Bears did this last time. They signed Andy Dalton in free agency, and then they got a quarterback anyway. I think Washington is going to do the same. They're going to acquire someone like Jameis Winston or Jimmy Garoppolo in free agency or by trade, go in with them and Heineke, and then if they get a quarterback, they're fine with it. If all the quarterbacks go before them, they'll pass again, but they'll go in with an open mind. But they'll have a good option if they don't get one.
Yeah. If I had to put my money on it right now, I'd say Washington, Pittsburgh, and Carolina.
Well, what I'm saying about Washington is I think that if all the quarterbacks are still there at 11, Washington will 100% take one. But the only reason Washington would pass on a quarterback at 11 is if multiple quarterbacks were already taken, which I think is possible. So, I think, there's a good chance that, I think it's very possible that you see like Willis at 6 to Carolina, and then Corral at 11 to Washington, and Pickett at 20 to Pittsburgh. I've seen that exact combination a lot. That trio. New Orleans is also as a wild card.
Yeah, I don't think they want to put a quarterback in that situation. I'm saying that again. Maybe I'm just a big,
teams don't think about that. Teams don't think about that. They think about what they can do, with getting the players in there. You want to get the quarterback in there. You don't want to be Denver from last year, make that mistake. Passing on Fields. That was a big mistake that they made. So I also think this one would be potentially not so great. I would keep my eyes on Atlanta and Minnesota at 8 and 12 for quarterbacks. They both have quarterbacks who have 1 year left, and they could be interested.
Rumor has it they're working on a Kirk Cousins extension, though. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't buy it. They're not well.
They wanted to get rid of him so bad. I understand what you're saying.
They're in a very, very bad situation because really the best thing for them to do would be to just not extend him and just part ways, but they can't operate this year under his current cap hit. So they're in a very tough spot. It's either basically give up on 2022 entirely or hamstring future years in order to manage the cap. So they are in a disastrous spot. If I were them, I would just bite the bullet, but it's tough. It's tough to do that. All right, we have a trade here. So a 12-team Superflex PPR from West Coast Schiefer. Deontay Johnson and the 108 or Justin Fields, a contending team. What do you think?
I think this is fair value, honestly.
It doesn't seem fair to me.
Doesn't? No.
I'd rather have Deontay Johnson. No, I want Johnson. Justin Fields is a lot of maybe. I'm just not giving up someone who finishes wide receiver 1 and a first round pick for maybe at the quarterback position. It's too much maybe. I'm sure some people would take the Fields side. I'm not interested. So maybe this is saying I would sell Justin Fields. I also love Deontay Johnson. I would buy Deontay Johnson.
I do as well, but I don't know. The value's fair, but contending team might sway at Deontay's side. I mean, I think it's fair. With what I've seen in startups recently, it's definitely fair.
Yeah, I'm just not paying this for Justin Fields, period. So, That's all right, fair. From Marcus is talking about a 3-team trade. So this is a good question. Side note, have you ever done a 3-team trade personally? You, yourself? Not seen one. Have you ever done one?
I'm trying to think.
I know that I have not. That's why I bring it up. I have never personally executed a 3-team trade.
See, all the 3-team trades that I usually get are usually like I'm the side that clearly loses.
Oh my god.
So probably not.
Do I need to get a new co-host? I don't want losers. I don't want failures.
Oh, no, I declined them.
Oh, good.
No, I didn't say accept them. I said when I see the 3-team trade, I get the offers. And it's usually my side's getting, crushed in the trade, and I decline it. They're like, why?
So then why? I've never even been offered a 3-team trade. I've never been offered one. I don't think I've ever even seen one.
I don't know. Bored. I was so bored at a point last season that I was trying to orchestrate like 12-team trades, like minor pieces.
Oh my god.
Got to a point.
But yeah, so what even is this? We didn't even read this question. All right, from Marcus says he sent Freiermuth in 2:23 seconds to a Steelers fan. Okay. Who sent Dawson Knox to a Bills fan who turned something Hawk. So essentially it's Hawkins from his perspective. It's Hawkinson for Freiermuth in 2:23 seconds and a 1 QB. I assume no premium. What do you think? Is that good value?
I don't think it's good value.
Yeah.
I like my 23 seconds. I think it's going to be, we talk about the class the whole time. I know it's 1 QB, so it kind of sways. It takes out, at this point, 2 players. I don't know if there's going to be a third quarterback that hops into the discussion with Stroud and Young, but I want to hold on to the picks. I like Hawk though, so I'm a
Yeah,
little bit upset.
I like Hawk too. The market value is probably on Fryermuth in the 2 seconds. I probably personally would prefer the Hawk side. Look, if I had Hawk, probably wouldn't do this.
No,
But I know it's an overpay if I had the Fryermuth side, so I'm probably not sending this to get Hawk either. It's that old thing about trades. Like, in order to do a trade, I usually need to win the market value and the personal value, and those don't agree here. So I'm probably not doing this trade either way. I'm probably going to keep what I have and try to capitalize on it better. If I have Hawk, I'm trying to capitalize on the point value of Hawk that I think I'm getting. If I have Fryermuth in the seconds, I want to capitalize on the market value of that side better than this. So either way, I'm not doing this trade. But what that tells you is it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a 14-team league. I think about it.
Yeah, but or tight end premium, I would do it.
Tight end premium as well. Depends on the format.
But yeah, but that means it's pretty fair value. If I say one thing, the market says another. It's pretty fair then, right? Oh, this thing on my face, I got hit in the face, man.
Powering through.
Yeah, it really hurts. I can't like do the like Tyler emotion, like hard emotion stuff. I can't bring that energy because it like physically hurts for me to do that. But I'll do my best to just answer the questions. I also I don't know if the people know this, you know this, but I also spilled water on my laptop. This is a new laptop and a new webcam. So let me know in the comments if I look better. It's the same mic, but I have a new webcam. So it's an Alienware computer. So I think the webcam should be better. Yeah. But just let me know what you think about that. And Dave says that he likes Howell the most in this class. Well, I liked Howell the most in this class before we started the rookie process a long time ago, but that's clearly the NFL doesn't agree. And with quarterback, I care more about what the NFL thinks than what I think. If Howell is going to go in the late first and Willis is going to go in the top 10, then my mind has been changed. Plus, Willis has more fantasy upside than Howell anyway.
Willis has unfortunately more. I didn't hate what I saw from Howell though, because he did that all. He lost so much talent 2 years ago, or last year.
But last year, yeah, at North Carolina.
Yeah, what did he lose? Diami Brown, Daz Newsome,
Diami Brown, Javante Carter.
Yeah, he lost a lot, and he still showed the flashes that were there. So I see why I like him.
Yeah,
he's good, but if he goes late first, it does kill a lot of the appeal.
He might not even go in the late first.
That would just totally like
I think at this point. But at this point, I'm looking at the board. I think the best case scenario, I think the upside is Howell 20 to Pittsburgh. I think that is the upside. I think that's the highest he could go. I don't think he's going to go before that. So if if he doesn't go there, then it's New England, Vegas, Arizona, Dallas, Buffalo, Tennessee. And then next is Tampa at 27. Now that is possible. Tampa at 27, I think is possible. And then we have the big wild card, which I think people are not going to like. But if Rodgers leaves, 28 Green Bay, watch that one. Watch that one. I think they could take a quarterback. As Love is so bad that I think they need an alternative.
Yeah, that would be a less than ideal scenario because then Adams would be gone and your number one wide receiver would be Ellen Lazard.
Oh, no, it would be a disaster. I am telling the people now, if you are listening to this show now, I am telling you that we are not going into a universe in which Jordan Love is the unquestioned starter for the 2022 season. It will not happen. I don't know who the alternative is going to be, but there will be a serious alternative to Jordan Love on that roster. 100%. They cannot go in with him as the only real option. He's just so bad. They need a real alternative. Otherwise, they're all going to lose their jobs. Oh, what is this? Dave says that I have great insight that you can get a veteran and get a fall back on a draft pick. Yes, but also a lot of the draft picks in this class are not ready to play. So you could go to Jimmy Garoppolo for a year and then draft a quarterback. I do think that Jimmy Garoppolo, though, a team that acquires Jimmy Garoppolo is probably going to extend him. So that would be a pretty big investment to make, to trade for Garoppolo, extend him, and then draft a quarterback. I think Washington would be more likely to do that if they signed Winston. If they signed Winston, then they might draft a quarterback. That would make more sense. But Garoppolo's probably trading somewhere as the pseudo franchise quarterback. You're probably looking at a trade and an extension that really locks you into 2 years of Garoppolo, 2022 and 2023. So whoever does that, it's probably looking at 2 years of Garoppolo.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go to another Lance scenario. I don't think he wants that.
I don't think so either.
Nah. So,
but I do think Garoppolo's been good enough that I'd be comfortable committing to him for 2 years as an NFL team if you don't have better options. Yeah. So I think someone's going to do it. Look, the Colts are in play. The Colts are done with Carson Wentz. The Colts are in play, and they have no first-round pick, no access to a quarterback. I think it's like there could be a team that makes that 2-year commitment to Garoppolo, just like they made a 2-year commitment to Wentz.
Yeah, that worked out so well.
That worked out so poorly. Well, anyway, so keep going with the comments. Yeah, Minnesota has a new coach. Dave says Minnesota has a new coach and general manager. Yes, but I don't know if that makes them more or less likely to extend Cousins, honestly.
Yeah, they were this close to kicking him out for Fields last year. This close. If the Bears didn't make that move, they probably would have.
Well, I think this was a value thing that they would have just taken Fields and just dealt with it. But in this case, I'm not sure they're going to find the value at 12 for a quarterback. So I'm not sure they do it. Depends on who's there. Okay, West Coast Chiefer has a trade, a mega deal. Okay, I like these. So on one side, we have 104, these rookie picks, 104, 111, 201, 202, 4, 102, 23 first, second, and third. This is easy for me. Is it easy for you?
I don't know.
Pretty easy.
I would take the 2023 first.
Yeah, me too.
But I've been preaching about it. I do like those early seconds this year. I don't know. It's not enough for a 2023 first, but I do like them. I guess I'd throw that.
Probably. I mean, I'd rather have a 23 first and second over 111, 201, and 202, and then I would rather have 102 over 104. I think the difference in Superflex between 102 and 104 could be massive.
Oh,
like you could be talking about, because really, I only see two. I mean, there's Hall and Burks, but then I'm not sure there's going to be more than one stud quarterback. It might be Willis and no one else. So you could be taking a big loss and going from what I don't know what the loss is going to be, but it could be big going from 102 to 104. It could be a big difference. So I do not want to do that. I will take the 102 side easily in this trade. It's not close for me.
I don't know how big the difference is going to be. If Garrett Wilson gets a good landing spot, I don't think it's that big of a drop off.
It could be a big one because at 102, you could have access to Willis, and at 104, you won't.
Yeah. I mean, my top tier is probably going to be like 6 players that I'm okay with.
No, for me, my top tier is going to be smaller than that.
Well, I phrased that wrong. It's going to be a top tier, and then there's going to be a mini tier drop, and then there's going to be a bigger tier drop.
Yeah, I just think that the top tier is not even going to have 4 players in it. That's why I don't want to go down from 102 to 104.
My tippy top tier is going to have 3 players. It's probably going to be Hall, Burks, and Willis. So
yeah, but that's exactly. So I don't want to go. I agree with you. So I don't want to go from 102 to 104. I would love to go from like 104 to 110 and get value. I don't want to risk doing that now, but I do want to do that. But yeah, okay. Ed says, "What's up?" Okay. He did a 3-team trade in F4. F4 is my Twitter chat, by the way. If you ever hear that mentioned, that's my fantasy football Twitter chat. Fun fantasy football frenzy. I founded that to promote people and their work. I use it a lot to promote my work. I haven't chatted as much in there as I wish I could have, but I do get some retweets of other people's work in there. But yeah, that they did a Dynasty league. I did not participate.
I'm trying to find the trade.
You're in it, right? What is it?
I'm in it. That's why
what is it? Looking. A 12-team league?
It's 14.
A 14. Wow, lots of people wanted to play. Also, I think we're going to make this Showtime permanent because this is the most people we've had in the chat for any show ever. So, So, I don't know. Well, we're going to keep doing this Showtime until the people tell us not to. But you were saying that how's your team looking like? Can I criticize it?
You could definitely criticize it.
All right, I'll criticize it. What?
All right, so I started. You know Patrick. He's the commissioner. He's not playing, but he's the commissioner.
Saint Patrick?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So he's the commissioner. He did a random for the startup order. He revealed it, one by one. I picked from the 106 slot. You're gonna roast my second pick here.
Well, let's have one pick at a time.
Okay, at 106, it's a super flex. I went Justin Herbert.
Okay, that's a very good pick. I like that one.
That's fair. But then I went off the rails a little bit. I went to Deshaun Watson at 2.9.
Yeah, I don't like that one. That one I could do without. Seems like a reach.
I was okay with it. Quarterbacks were flying off the board. And then I went Waddle in the third. I traded up in the third to get Waddle.
I'm good with that.
And then at 4.8, I went the rookie 101.
Oh, that's way too late for the rookie 101. I love that pick.
And then 5.9, I went Elijah Moore.
Fine with that.
And then I loaded up on rookie picks, so I forget exactly which ones I have, but I have like 8.
I love it. I love it. I'm sure I would do that.
And then in tight end premium, I have Gaseki and Freiermuth, so I'm happy with that. Gaseki's gonna be one of my big targets this offseason. So
it's not bad. Sounds pretty good to me, honestly. Few things, but nothing. The Deshaun Watson pick is the one. The little reach, but the 101, rookie 101 and the 4.8 is a very, very good value. The rookie 101 should, in a super flex, I would have it in the middle of the third round. So you got about a round of value there that I love. West Coast Troopers talking about hoping for an early pick from that 23 first. Well, I would hope so. I mean, you could get Bijan. That would be nice.
No, Bijan or Bryce Young or there's
I'm more focused on Bijan. I think Bijan is another Ezekiel Elliott or a Saquon, someone who's going to come in as a top 5 running back immediately.
I agree.
Spock. I have the third pick. Oh, okay. This is actually a good question. If I have a third pick in a startup draft, should I trade up to the second pick to get Allen or Mahomes? 12-team Superflex start 10. The start 10 doesn't matter so much. The Superflex does. It's actually a good question.
Yeah.
If you had the third, I don't really want the third pick.
No.
Right? We don't want that. There's no... I mean, do you have it the same way I do? With Mahomes and Allen in their first tier, and then Kyler, Herbert, Jackson, and Burrow in the next group? So I really don't want I'd much rather have the 6th pick than the 3rd pick. So yeah, I don't want the 3rd pick. So I would definitely try to trade it. But which direction do you think you're going to want to go? Up or down? Probably down, right?
Probably. It's going to be so hard to go up because
it's going to be hard. I think anything you're going to have to pay is going to be too much for me. So I'm probably going to look to trade down, not up.
A lot of people know that's the tier break, and you're probably it's going to be unfortunate.
What you need to do is find someone who really thinks there's a big difference between quarterback 3. Hopefully someone at 4, 5, or 6 really wants a specific quarterback 3. That's what you want to do, is talk to 4, 5, and 6. If not, I'm fine just making the pick. I guess I would take Kyler, but
there's going to be someone in your league that really believes in one of Lamar, Kyler, Burrow, or Herbert that you'll be able to pull off a deal.
Yeah, I'm fine taking, even if I can only get like the 106 and a 23 second for the 103 and a 23 third, I'm fine with that. Even if that's all I get to go back to the 106. But I'd like to grind out something because I really see no difference between Kyler, Herbert, Burrow, and Lamar. None. Basically nothing. I wouldn't pay a third to go between any of those players. So essentially no difference. So I would love to trade from 3 to 6 would be my first choice.
I wouldn't want to go any further than that though.
No, then it goes way down. Then you're hoping. Then you're hoping you get lucky. But we'll see. But
There's gotta be someone that mid-tier that wants their guy though. Like you gotta figure.
I mean, look, if you could trade from 103 to 112 and get a 23 first with it, I would still do it. Like I would still do it. But I don't think you're going to be able to do that. People are not trading 23 firsts.
Some are.
Not many people.
In my startup, some are.
Yeah, it's rare. Yeah, it depends on the cost. See what the cost. I probably wouldn't even bother. I would be talking about trading down. You can try to do everything, but I want to focus on the deals that I think will bear the most value of fruit for me. So I'm going to focus on trading down before I look at trading up. From Tristan, this is a good question. How do you value players like Judy and Sutton, where quarterback is such a question mark? Are you holding or trying to move them? What do you think about this one?
This is a fantastic question because
it is.
If you look around, the value of them is already baked into Rodgers might be coming.
And that is a problem.
Exactly. So if they do come, they're going to get another value explosion. But if he doesn't, they're going to fall again. So I try to move them, but it's tough.
Yeah. I think that Judy is valued as if Rodgers is already there. Sutton is not quite valued that way because Sutton needs Rodgers more than Judy does. And then nobody is valuing the possibility that Devontae Adams comes there with Rodgers, and then nobody is happy.
Then
nobody's happy. Then whoever stays is bad because they're on the team with an absolute target monster who's going to eat up everything. And whoever goes is bad because then they're stuck in Green Bay without Rodgers. So I am not in on this situation. Look, with Courtland Sutton, these are also two very different situations. With Courtland Sutton, you don't have time to talk about, well, in many years, the situation, he's talented. In many years, the situation will be this and then this. You don't have time for that anymore. He turns 27 in October. The time for in many years blank will happen. He's no longer that type of player. You can't wait that long. You need the production now. He needs to produce. If he doesn't produce this year, his time, if he goes into 27 after if he turns 27 this year and does not have a productive 2022, his dynasty value is finished and is never coming back. So he has 1 year to do it. You can't wait. Terry McLaurin's unfortunately in the same situation. He has kind of 1 more year to really do something, and otherwise the value's gone and it's never coming back. So unfortunately, these are two very different players. A player like Sutton at his age, I'm just out. I'm out. I'm not going to wait. He's also extended there, so he's stuck there. So I'm just out on Sutton. Someone like Judy, who's 3.5 years younger than Sutton, Judy could play out his entire contract and the 5th-year option and sign with a new team in free agency, and he'd be younger than Courtland Sutton is now. Keep that in mind. So these are two, he could the entire contract and start 2025 younger than Sutton is now. He would be younger on week 1, 2025 than Sutton is now. So there's a big difference. So to kind of conclude my answer, if the player is young enough that they're nowhere near the value apex, I still value them based on their talent. Once we get closer to the value apex, like where Sutton is much closer to it, then I start to devalue them if I don't like the situation coming up. But for like an incoming rookie, I do not devalue an incoming rookie wide receiver based on the situation, unless it's a very rare situation. There are some, like with Rashad Bateman, where it's so obvious that the situation is going to not change, is going to be bad, and has no hope of improving anytime soon. There are rare situations like that, but they're rare. Very, very rare. That's like one of the only ones where I could kind of see it right from the beginning. It's like, this situation is bad. The team is good. Lamar's not going anywhere. Andrew's not going anywhere. Hollywood's not going anywhere. There's no hope. That is rare. That is the only one I can think of in my entire time playing Dynasty where I've devalued someone for that reason. He's the only example in 3 years, 4 years, however long I've been, and however long you want to say I've been analyzing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a tough situation. I mean, did you see the tweet yesterday that Davis Mills has more career 300-yard passing games than Lamar?
But that's not surprising. Lamar doesn't throw 300-yard passing games. No. I feel so bad for Rashad Bateman because I think he's actually a pretty good player, but he's just not good enough to overcome a horrible situation. But yeah, in general, I don't devalue for that kind of stuff. Like I said, Rashad Bateman is the one example in 3 years. Because like Jeudy has the possibility of getting a good situation. It's possible the situation changes. Mm-hmm. So Spock says, sorry if I missed it. When are you guys going to do live shows like this? I always look forward to these. We've been doing these live shows of some kind for a long time. Right?
Yeah.
In some form for what, like 5 months?
Yeah, but Spock's always been in here. I think he's just asking about the time change.
Yeah. I mean, given the audience response to this time, I like the time that we're currently recording it. So, I mean, we'll have to, make sure that that works for us. But this is a pretty good time for me generally. And just given the views since we changed the time, given the audience participation, the chat, this is the most people we've ever had in the chat. I don't see any reason why we would change the time unless it didn't work for us. So yeah, I think this is going to be the time we're going to do going forward. And yeah, I mean, obviously you never know if anything comes up or whatever. And during the draft, I'm going to do some different coverage during the draft, something a little different. But other than that, pretty much. And I don't know if this is, I mean, we could even do the recap at this time, right? I mean, there's no reason we have to do. I think that was also something that people liked it. I think people liked having the recap immediately, but I also think you were getting me at my most tired. And do you want the recap immediately or do you want it 12 hours later with my best stuff? I think most people would want to wait 12 hours for my best stuff. But that's just me. And then we could also talk about Monday Night Football on the show. A preview. But yeah, that answers that question about timing. Patrick. Okay, another trade. Good. I like these. Montgomery and Knox for Deontay Schultz. What? What? I'm confused. Montgomery and Knox for Deontay Schultz in 106. What? It's Deontay Schultz in 106 easily, but this is the joke, right?
I'd easily take this offer.
Yeah, Deontay is worth more than Montgomery. A lot more. Schultz and Knox are pretty similar. And 106 is on the Deontay side. Yeah,
106 is just a throw-in at that point.
Yeah, this is a ridiculous offer in favor of the Deontay side. I was a little confused. Okay. From Weaves, trying to dump Jordan Love. Good move to get rid of him. To some quarterback needy teams. What would you look for in return? Good question. Currently floating him for the Rondale Moore, Tony range, maybe Devin Singletary. Okay. I mean, I'll pull up the chart, but my chart for rankings of because I have these guys ranked, in the Superflex. But what do you think? What do these players sound like to you compared to Jordan Love?
I mean, at this point, I'd take them all, but I think you could easily get Rondale Moore in a trade from a QB needy team because Rondale Moore had a disappointing rookie season.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney would be my first choice.
Oh,
I mean, he's a first-round pick.
I'm just saying Rondale Moore would be the easier acquisition.
Probably, yeah, and I would take him as well. Rondale Moore, I still think is very talented. I don't love the situation, but I love the talent. Whereas with Jordan Love, I do not love the talent. The talent is bad. So I'd much rather have Rondale Moore than Jordan Love. Singletary, I'm kind of a little bit of a flash in the pan to me. I think they're going to bring in someone. They can't. Moss is obviously a failure. They need to bring in another running back. And I just think that if you have split carries there with Allen taking goal line work, I just don't think Devin Singletary is going to duplicate what he did last year. If they sign, let's say they I mean, what do you think is the most likely outcome? They sign a veteran or they have a draft pick? I think a veteran.
I think it's a veteran. They had the opportunity to draft last year and they didn't. So
they tried a veteran with Matt Breida. It just didn't work out. But I think they go for a veteran. Who would be on your list? Who do you think they could go for?
I mean, Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon. I mean, Melvin Gordon, I think, is the top of everyone's list.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
For
Fournette now that
Fournette too, yeah.
That Brady retired, it looks like he's gone. So
I just think that Fournette has actually a little bit more left in the tank. I think Fournette is going to sign somewhere where he's the clear starter, where he's the starter, not, Gordon and Connor, I think, are looking at committee roles where they're the lead, whereas Fournette, I expect to sign as the clear starter. I think that the Bills would look at, someone like maybe could be Michelle. I think they're going to look a little better than someone like Rojo or Mac. I think that's a little low. I think they're going to go for someone who did more recently. But I do think they're going to sign somebody. There aren't that many good running backs who are free agents this year. Fournette is the best one, for sure.
Yeah, it's a lackluster free agent class outside of wide receiver, I'd say.
Yeah, well, wide receiver is a lot of good free agents, but at running back, not so much. I mean, there often aren't a lot of good running back free agents. But we'll see. If they just sign someone like Mac or Rojo or Deonta Foreman or Justin Jackson, someone who's not very good, then I might be in on Singletary. But if they sign someone like Gordon or Fournette somehow or Connor, I'll be out. Of those guys, like if Fournette came there, I would project Fournette as the starter. If Gordon came there, I would avoid both players. And I would project them in a 50-50 split. Connor, the same thing. Avoid both players and project them in a 50-50 split.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I mean, I'd lean a little more to the free agents, depending on the money, but...
yeah, maybe. I just think that we'll see. I just think that Singletary, I'd rather have Moore and Tony over him. I don't think Singletary's ever going to carry much value again, honestly. FF Lefty says, good afternoon. Yes, welcome. You've been around for a while supporting me, so I really appreciate that. Ryan has a question. Okay, this is a good question. I actually get this. It's funny. I get this exact question often, very often, this exact question. In a rebuild, looking to tier Diggs down and add draft capital, any dynasty buy wide receivers you recommend for a rebuilding team? Well, let's say you had Diggs and you were looking to tier down to someone else. Who would you look at?
I mean, there's so many good options. When your one thread yesterday, what was it? The ask one player in Dynasty. I chose Diggs.
Yeah. How was my answer?
It was a good answer.
Yeah, I do give a lot of good answers.
I mean, there's so many options. I mean, oh gosh, where do I even start is the real question.
I don't know.
I'd go for anyone. Deontay Johnson we've talked about before. I think that's a tier down. Not in my personal rankings, but
I don't think that's a tier down. I would like Deontay Johnson straight up. DJ Moore, same thing. Can you get DJ Moore plus? That would be great. But I think that's unrealistic.
I think it could.
I would love to do that.
Depending on the team.
I would do that every day, but I don't think I can.
I like Elijah Moore a lot too.
Yes. I think you get a bigger plus. I mean, if you can get Elijah Moore and a 23 first for Stephon Diggs, I would do it. Smash accept easily.
I'd run to the bank with that. Yeah. Elijah Moore would probably be at the top of my list looking around here.
I mean, I would, if I get DJ Moore plus, that would probably be my first choice. I can get Deontay Johnson. Maybe I could.
Maybe. Before the season, I would have said T. Higgins, but that's not a realistic possibility now.
No, that's not realistic. No.
Before the season, it was, though.
Maybe, but not now. Ed wanted a 23 first to give up a startup. I don't know if we're starting that.
He's talking about his 3-team trade in F4. I could look it up real quick.
He's saying he pulled off a 3-team trade, and Ryan has rookie picks
That I do.
101, 106, 110, 201, 208, and 210.
I'm looking for his 3-team trade in the transactions. Okay, I found it.
All right, read it off.
So he traded away a 2023 third, a 2022 27th in the startup, and a 2023 first for a 24-round startup, a 23 first from another team.
Ooh.
And a 23 third.
All right. I mean, that's kind of, we'll see how that goes. He's betting on one team being better than another. And he's also giving you advice here. What do you think of his advice?
I think he was referring to the other Ryan with the
a different Ryan. Yeah.
With the Diggs question. Yeah, I have the rookie picks. The rookie picks are mine.
Yeah.
It's two separate Ryans there.
It's been so long since I've asked anyone for advice. I sometimes wonder, like, if I never ask anyone for advice, am I getting like out of it? But I really don't think I am. I think I just haven't had the need. But one day I will again, I'm sure, when I'm retired. All right. Patrick, 12-team PPR. Amon Ra and a 23 first plus Hawk, Waddle, and Schultz. Seems heavy.
Yeah.
Like, I love Waddle, but am I going to pay a 23 first and Hawk and Amon Ra? I guess I get Schultz back on that side. That helps. This just seems heavy, though.
It does seem heavy.
It's not bad. It's not bad. If I were lower on Hawk, I would probably like this trade more, but I'm not. I'll probably lean the package side. But honestly, if I had Waddle and Schultz, I'm probably not giving them up for this. Probably want something a little better. So might be another one of those trades where I don't move off of what I have either way.
Yeah.
And Ed says he'd rather have the first Hawk and Amon Ra. And I'd probably lean that way if I had to choose. I'm worried about Schultz. Yeah. Ed says he's worried about Schultz if he leaves Dallas. I don't think he's special. Sounds like something I've said. I love Waddle, but it's a lot to give up for him. I agree with that. Yes. Subscribe and click the bell so you get notifications on live shows. No, it doesn't always work. That's true. But still, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe and click the bell. So the most important thing is subscribe. Second most important thing is like the video. Actually, the third most important thing, more than clicking the bell, is leaving a comment on the video. If you leave a comment on the video, it tells the algorithm that's like a hot video and like it starts to show up more in searches. So leave as many comments as you can. Even if they're not nice comments are better than none at all. I found this recently. And no, this doesn't help. It needs to be a comment. I appreciate this though. But no, I'm talking about a comment after the show. For some reason, those really affect the algorithm. I don't know why, but they do. I have evidence to prove it. And Edward says, what kind of deal would y'all look for when offloading Marquise Brown? Well, I'll just stop you there. And given the recent news, you're not offloading Marquise Brown right now. You should just hold on to him. But I have the 106 and 201 in a 12-team Superflex league. I was thinking I could combine Brown and the 201 for top 5 pick. You can't do that. So there's no way. You cannot do that. So I would not trade Marquise Brown right now.
No.
Is that good enough, or is there anything you want to add?
That's good enough. He had 140 targets last season. Like, he's good at football, and he's
not even that. It's just there was this whole news about this nonsense about the Twitch thing, and people are like still feeling that. So now is not a time to trade Marquise Brown.
Now is the time to go out and trade for him, though.
Oh, I agree with you. I agree. I've seen people trading late seconds for him. I've heard about that. I've seen it. And I would do that. That I would do. I'm not a big fan of Hollywood Brown, but if I could get him for a late second, I'm going to do that. What are you going to get with a late second? You're not going to get a productive player at that stage. So I would do that. Oh, this was Ed's tip for someone not knowing what time the show was. Yeah. So if you're this is actually probably true. So I do always put up the StreamYard in advance with the time of the show. So if you subscribe to the channel, you should at least get that show coming up. And it shows up on my channel homepage too. So you should get the show coming up in your YouTube. So there's that. On Twitter, I don't usually, but on my Patreon, I usually post before we're going live that we're going to go live. But I am hoping that we make this a regular time, kind of like how during the season, Sunday night after the games was over, it wasn't an exact time, but it was pretty regular. And then, yeah, Ed got a random notification. We were live because he clicked the bell. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate that. From West Coast Chief for another trade question. And this is good. So I would always prefer, and I think you know this about me, but maybe someone hasn't listened to my show. I would always prefer to discuss questions from the chat, what you guys want to talk about, than doing stuff from our show sheet. Always.
Yeah.
I would always prefer to discuss something going on in the chat from you guys. Because, like, I can talk about anything, but, like, I don't really care. Like, I don't have any particular investment about, and this is why most of my shows are question shows. I don't have a particular investment about talking about one topic or another topic. That's what I have articles for. That's what articles are for. When I do these shows, it's supposed to be interactive. So, I always would prefer to answer any questions in the chat over whatever we had in our show sheet.
Well, if it's like the draft or like free agency day, maybe then there'll be more topics.
There will, during the season, we do the recap, but even on those shows, it's
all questions. It's better to take questions. It's fun.
Yeah. I will do a show about free agency, and I will do a live show. I'm sure we'll get questions during those too, but I will keep those shows on topic to try to stick to questions about, like when we do recaps, we try to stick to questions about this week's games mostly. When I do my free agency show, we'll try to stick to questions about free agency. When I do the draft show, I will very much try to stick to questions that are related to the actual draft going on, because that'll be a live event, and that'll be meant to watch mostly to be. I don't expect people are going to watch my 5-hour draft show later. So that'll be mostly meant for the live audience. So I'll really try to focus on the draft in that one. But anyway, West Coast trade here. McCaffrey for 23 first, second, and third, and 12-team Superflex PPR. That seems a little light to me. Doesn't it seem light?
Seems a little light.
You have McCaffrey. You're giving him up for that? I don't think so.
No.
That seems light. I want at least 2 firsts. 2 firsts to make me feel better about it. If I'm in a deep rebuild, this feels like settling. You couldn't get a first and a better player, maybe. First and Elijah Moore, even. That's not great. That's not a great return, but that's still better than this. This is too light. I'm not taking this. I won't accept it. I need to do better than that. I'm fine waiting until the season starts and letting McCaffrey score in 1 week, and then people will see.
Week 1, 40 points, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they'll be knocking at the door, competing.
Or even in August. You don't even have to wait till the season starts. In August, people will look at their lineups and they'll see they have a hole at running back 1, and they'll be willing to pay more than this. I'm not taking this offer under any circumstances for McCaffrey. Too light. All right, let's go back. So we finished all the questions in chat for now. We can come back to them if there are more, but let's finish up the show sheet. So we talked about Jordan Love. We talked about the Bucs' desire to get a veteran quarterback, which I think we both agree they're going to do that, not go with Trask. So what about this thing that I'm reading about Brady? And I keep hearing this on like the mainstream news, mainstream being like ESPN and those kind of, not fantasy shows. It's like your mainstream sports shows about Brady going to San Francisco. This is bullshit, right? I mean, he's not going to San Francisco.
He's not going to San Francisco. I don't know if he's done, though.
He's done. He's retired.
I think he could come back. I'm not saying it's going to be San Francisco. I don't think it's San Francisco. You don't trade 3 first-round picks for Trey Lance and then be like, oh, Tom Brady, Yeah,
he's not coming back. He's not going to San Francisco. He's going to be 45. He's retired. I really think he's retired. I really think that he wants to spend some time with his family. I mean, what do you want him to do? Play forever? He's made enough money. His wife has made more money than he ever will. Ever. Like, his wife has made more money than he ever will. He doesn't need any money. Does he really need to go out there and get beat up? I mean, he has the best career anyone could have asked for. At 43, he went to another team and won a Super Bowl immediately. What more could you want? And then he walks out on 44 in his last season. If this is his last season, he walks out with one of his best statistical seasons ever. He's retired. Okay, we have a couple more things. So, Michael Gallup. We put Michael Gallup on the show sheet.
Yeah, because the Cowboys are going to resign him. It looks like they're going to try at least.
I mean, I would try to re-sign Michael Gallup, right? I mean, wouldn't you? Yeah. If you're the Cowboys and you can get Michael Gallup to accept a 1-year prove-it deal for $5 or $6 million, similar to the one that Juju signed with the Steelers last year, even for a little less because he's injured, I would do that. But do you think that's going to be Michael Gallup's best option?
Probably not.
I don't think the Cowboys are going to give Michael Gallup more than a 1-year deal.
Nah. It'll still crush CeeDee Lamb dynasty managers, though.
It would, but I don't think it's going to matter that much. I actually did the splits for CeeDee Lamb in the games that Michael Gallup played and the games that Michael Gallup didn't play, and there was absolutely no difference whatsoever. None at all. Zero difference. So that wasn't why. That was not the problem. So yeah, it's actually in the last article I posted. It is actually, there's a section about that. So you go read that on dynastyleaguefootball.com.
Yep.
But I think that they will make him a competitive 1-year offer for somewhere between 5 and 8 million. And if that's his best option, I think he'll take it. Kind of like how Juju only received 1-year offers last year. But I suspect that
Juju wanted to go back more. This is a little different.
Yeah, Michael Gallup does not seem to want to go back.
Juju did get a multi-year offer from the Eagles, I believe, and turned it down. So
I don't remember hearing about that. I heard about offers from Baltimore and the Chiefs, both of which were 1 year and more money.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he got I could double check.
Well, I don't think that was confirmed. I think that's still more of a rumor. But we know that he had offers from 1-year offers from Baltimore and the Chiefs for more money. We knew those. The Eagles were more of a speculation. There may have been an offer.
Yeah.
But we know what his finalists, whatever the offers were, we knew what his finalists were. They were Baltimore, the Chiefs, and the Steelers. But I think that, I think Gallup is going to walk. I don't think we're going to like the location he signs, but I think he's going to walk. And I think he's going to sign something like what Corey Davis got, because Gallup really hasn't been paid. And I think if he just gets a 3-year, $40 million deal with $25 million guaranteed, it's not what he wanted, but I think he'll accept it over taking a 1-year prove-it deal. He doesn't have like the TikTok money, the endorsement money that Juju does. He needs the money. He's going to take, I think he's more likely to take that mid-level money than Juju would have been. So I think he takes the money. And I think some of the teams that might be interested are the Chargers. If they let Mike Williams walk, that would be good. That would be like the best case scenario. But unfortunately, some of the other teams are the Bears. I don't know if we like that. The Lions. We really don't like that one. And, other than that, who else even? The Eagles could be, and we don't like that. So, I just don't see where the Chargers are the one good landing spot, but the Patriots, maybe they're kind of like reclamation projects, but they've spent a lot already. And I don't know if he's enough of a difference maker. So there are options, but a lot of them are not good. The Colts would be not great either because they don't have a quarterback. I don't know. I don't know. I'm hoping we get something that isn't what I just listed. But there's also Green Bay, who has no receivers at all. If Adams leaves, that would be really bad. Miami is an option. That would be okay. So there are some options that are okay, but the Jaguars to replace Chark would be a good option. So there's a mixed bag, but there are some real landmines in there.
Oh, yeah.
The Cardinals could make sense. The Cardinals could make sense as a mid-level outside receiver to complement Hopkins alongside Rondale Moore in the slot. But yeah.
We talked about it a lot with the draft preview kind of thing. There's a lot of teams in those teens, the early teens that are like, could go wide receiver
that are not
crush
good,
dynasty managers.
It would. I think someone's going to offer Gallup a Corey Davis level deal, and I think he'll take it. So I don't think he's going to stay. It's kind of where I'm at right now, but we'll see. And then, so we already talked about startup strategy a good amount, so I don't think we have to talk about that again. But let's, what about some of these free agents? Let's just talk about the 4 that we actually put on the show sheet, and we can save the rest for later. I don't want to do too much free agent speculation because, we don't know where anyone's going to sign in free agency. Like, I think those are more interesting on Twitter threads, but just to hear me break down a lot of what ifs and hypotheticals is not that exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But you picked out these four for, I assume, some reason. So why don't you start with what you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I picked the top four, at least what I think fantasy contributors at each position for free agency.
Yeah.
Potentially, I mean, running back could go either way, but with Leonard Fournette or Melvin Gordon, but I picked Melvin Gordon. But we're going to start with Jameis Winston. I think he is by far the best free agency quarterback.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's the only free agent quarterback that I am confident is going to get a nominal starting job. I actually think he's the only one who does. I don't think any other free agent quarterback gets a starting job. I think it's only him.
Are we on board with the same landing spot? I mean, we could go with best fantasy fit, or we could go with where they think they're going to go.
Yeah, well, let's do both. I mean, we can each do both. I mean, for me, the best fantasy fit is probably Pittsburgh to play with Deontay Claypool. I think this could reignite what we had with Evans and Godwin. You can squint and see Claypool being Evans and Deontay being Godwin from 2019. You could squint and see it. And then you have a tight end, like how he used OJ Howard and Brait that year, Pat Freiermuth. You could see, and then he has a running back, which he didn't have that year. So, that I think I can't see a better realistic fantasy location than Pittsburgh for Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I agree, but I'll provide a different option. I'll just go with Tampa Bay if they somehow franchise tag Chris Godwin.
Yeah. If they retain, if just running it back to 2019, I still think I would prefer Pittsburgh over that, partially because of the running back and presence of Freiermuth. But that would be a good option.
I agree. I'm just providing a different option. That'd probably be my two. Tampa Bay would be my second.
Yeah, those are the two. There are a lot of bad places, but where do you think he actually ends up?
I think he's going back to Tampa. I think it's going to happen.
I used to think that, but Tampa seems in on a big move now. They don't seem in on Winston anymore. I don't think so. I think they want to get Watson. I think they're going to explore the options with Watson or a bigger swing. I actually think that we're going to be disappointed with the Winston landing spot because I think there's a good chance it's Indianapolis. And I don't like it. But I think that they just hate Carson Wentz. They're going to cut him when no one wants to trade him, and they're just going to sign Jameis Winston and just wait for a year. I actually think that's what's going to happen, and I don't like that at all. Honestly,
what are the odds you think he gets retained by the Saints?
Low, because they're not going to be able to make a competitive offer. They're going to be outbid by a lot.
That's fair. We'll see how it goes.
I think a team is going to structure a Jameis deal as such. It's going to be like a 2-year, $25 million deal. That's really $10 million guaranteed this year and $15 million like totally not guaranteed this next year. So if he plays well, then you have him for $15 million for 2023. That's a bargain for a starter. And if he plays poorly, you just cut him and you're done with him. So I think that's how a team is going to structure a Jameis deal. And there's no way that New Orleans is going to be able to do that.
Yeah, very, very incentive-filled contracts. He hits those passing yard thresholds.
It's going to be one guaranteed year with a good amount of money, but in exchange, the team is going to have like essentially an option for 2023. I expect that to be the Jameis structure. Could be a little bit more money than that.
Yeah, I can get behind that, but we already talked about Melvin Gordon a decent bit before.
Yeah, I mean, where do you think Melvin Gordon actually ends up, though?
It's not back in Denver. I think that's been like 100% confirmed now.
It's not 100% confirmed, but
it's
the reporting is not leaning that way.
It's up there. I mean, I want to see Buffalo so bad.
I mean, for what reason?
I just think he's going to score a ton of touchdowns and be serviceable again.
In Buffalo doesn't work unless you have a workhorse with Allen there. So that would kill him for fantasy. I have no interest if he went to Buffalo at all. No interest. That's one of the worst spots, if not the worst, actually, of all. I'd almost rather he goes back to Denver. I actually think he would have more fantasy value back in Denver than he would in Buffalo. No, the best spots are Miami, Atlanta, Arizona if they retain nobody. Those are the ones. Those are the ones that I think. Tampa Bay if it's open.
I just don't think Miami would do that. I don't know if Atlanta's in a bad spot. I think those two teams are more likely to draft players. But the other two.
I mean, what do I think is going to happen?
You think he's going to go to the Chiefs, don't you?
Oh, I do. I think he's going to go to the Chiefs.
That'd be my favorite.
Well, he would be the starter there because all they have is failure. They have a lot of failure on that depth chart. They have, a backup as their starter, and then they have the corpse of Jerick McKinnon. Darrell Williams is a free agent who they're not going to retain. So I think he should sign with the Chiefs. I think so. Why not sign with the Chiefs? He gives you everything that Clyde Edwards-Helaire can't do. He's good on the goal line. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not good on the goal line. Pass protection, good in pass protection. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not good in pass protection. So, and he's reliable. So, which Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not reliable. So, I do think that the Chiefs are going to sign Melvin Gordon. That would be my prediction. My favorite spot, though, is Arizona. Of course. That would be my favorite spot for almost anyone.
Yeah, I could totally get behind that, but I think they're going to retain one.
I think they're going to retain Connor. I think they're going to retain Connor, let Edmonds walk, and draft the complement to Connor in the draft. That's been my prediction the whole time, and I stand by it. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. They could retain both. I think it's more likely they retain both than neither. They could. I mean, it's very possible they could, but I would love if Melvin Gordon were the workhorse in Arizona, but I don't think it's going to happen.
So next up, we have Chris Godwin for the wide receiver position. Obviously, he had a late season injury, which is very unfortunate. But
it is, yeah, ACL.
I don't know what that's going to do to his contract value. I think he's still going to get the big money.
He will. He's so good that I think a team is going to give him the money anyway.
Yeah, but where do you think he's going to go?
Where do I think he's going to go?
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
I'd love that.
No, I would hate that.
Well, I'm an Eagles fan.
You're an Eagles fan, so I understand why you would love that.
I wouldn't love it for fantasy, but I'd love it for, my team.
That would be a disaster for fantasy. We know this.
I'd be doing the victory laps for a totally different reason.
Well, that would be a big news for Jalen Hurts. That would be a disaster for Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith's value would be flushed down the toilet in that case. Because Chris Godwin's better. Chris Godwin's a better player than Devonta Smith. And there's no way we're having another Ravens there. But I think it's worse. I think the talent gap between Chris Godwin and Devonta Smith is bigger than between Rashad Bateman and Hollywood Brown. I think Chris Godwin is multiple tiers better of a player than Devonta Smith. So that would be very bad for Devonta Smith. That would hurt. But yeah. I do think it's very likely. I think that they're the kind of team who would do it. They're the kind of team who makes the big free agency splash. They need another wide receiver. They don't have anything beyond Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert. Nothing. So, and Jalen Hurts needs all the weapons he can to see if he's going to really be the guy after 2022. So they're a team I could definitely see doing it. I think the second most likely is Tampa, just returning to Tampa.
Yeah, I have that up there too. I have not a good fantasy spot, but a team that needs a wide receiver. I have Detroit up there. I feel like they'd fork out the money.
I could see that, but I think that's going to be a little expensive for them. I don't think they're going to make such a big move. I think they're more likely to go for a second-tier player like Gallup.
That's fair. I just think they want to splash with Dan Campbell, and I think the quarterback's coming for them. It's.
I agree. I just think it's a little splashy. I don't think they go that big. What would be the best spot for Godwin though? Because I don't think it's back in Tampa or it's not the Eagles. What's the best spot for Godwin? I have one in mind that I think is very good.
See, at this time of the year, I just want to put everyone on the Chargers.
That's the spot I wanted, is to put him on the Chargers.
Can you imagine Chris Godwin with Justin Herbert, especially what he's done?
No, I really couldn't. But I think it would be. I mean, that's the best spot, right? Like,
Oh
That's
yeah.
the spot that we want.
I mean, this is gonna be the second offseason in a row where we're theoretically replacing Mike Williams.
Yeah. But I do think that's the best one. Kansas City would be great, but I think that that's unrealistic that they're going to be able to afford him. I don't think that's even in the realm of realism. Unfortunately, a lot of the spots are bad. Vegas would be fine. I'd have no issue with Vegas. If he signed it with Vegas as their clear number one, he'd be the clear number one above everyone else. And Carr has shown an ability to support a number one. So, Vegas would be fine. But, a lot of the options are bad. Like Philadelphia would be bad, for example.
Yeah.
Atlanta would be bad. They're another team who needs a wide receiver. Jacksonville.
That could be okay.
Jacksonville could be okay. It's not as bad as Atlanta.
I mean, Cleveland is not good.
Cleveland would be even worse than Philadelphia. Cleveland would be the worst of all, actually, of all the ones we've talked about. But yeah, I think that's enough about Godwin. I do love him, though. I love Godwin.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I can't wait to see where he goes. But finally, we're rounding out with the tight end position. We got Mike Gaseki, free agent. I mean, their tight end landing spots are better than the wide receiver ones, I think.
Yeah, I do think that I would like him to stay. Just because we've seen a lot of tight ends leave and it hasn't worked out. I would put him on the Chargers, though. Put him on the Chargers. I could put him on the Chargers.
I love this landing spot. I'm gonna use big words. Hypothesizing, is that correct? No, that's not a word.
Hypothesizing,
I guess. But I would just put him on the Chargers forever because Jared Cook's there. Herbert leaned on him too.
Yeah.
Another good spot that I've seen mentioned by a bunch of people is Cincinnati with Joe Burrow.
Yeah, are they really gonna do that though? I don't think that's that good, by the way.
I mean, he doesn't really block, so I see the point.
He doesn't block, and I don't think that that's good anyway, because I don't really think that they can support all of these weapons. Chase and Higgins are just so good. I actually think that's a bad spot. People would think it's good, but I would not. Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, like staying in Miami is good. That would be a good spot. And if not, then a lot of the other spots are bad. The Chargers are one of the few good ones. Jacksonville, I think, would also be pretty good. Jacksonville would be good. They need someone like that.
They used Arnold heavy when they traded for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can say he's better.
No, 200%. But yeah, we're going to put everyone on the Chargers till everyone's not on the Chargers.
True. Arizona's not bad if they let Ertz walk. They let Ertz walk. Arizona would be great. He would fit in great there. Because they like to go 4 wide, so they could use him as like to switch between 11 and 10 personnel with him on the field, whereas Ertz is not as much that. He would fit in really well in Arizona. So he's someone who would go there. But there are some bad spots like Houston, Seattle.
A lot of good theoretical spots, though. More than wide receiver. That's the word I was looking for. Theoretically.
I mean, the Cowboys tight end is a good spot too. If Schultz walks and they replace him with Gaseki, that would be good. I want that tight end, whoever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, not every spot is good. But
there's a lot
Tennessee
more.
Also, Tennessee is not a great spot. Tennessee's a bad spot, but it's somewhere he could sign. I would not want him if he went there.
I just think there's a lot more wide receiver landmines this offseason than tight end, honestly.
Yeah, there are very few tight end spots that are horrible because a tight end is less affected by the outside stuff than a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Also, the Jets. The Jets have no tight end at all. So, but if I had to make a prediction on Gaseki, I just think he resigns. I think that they're going to keep him. I don't know why they would let him go.
Yeah.
They need him.
They got the cap.
Yeah.
I agree, although I want to see him with Herbert.
I would like that, but I think he stays. I think they use a franchise tag. The tight end franchise tag is cheap. All right, let's close out all these questions and then we'll wrap up the show. So West Coast Chiefer says he's looking to buy McCaffrey on a team ready to compete. And yeah, I mean, I'll buy him for that price for a second and third. Clyde says Brady just spent $6 million on a super yacht. I don't know if this is true, but I agree that he's not playing anymore.
I'm not up to date in the super.
Yeah, I don't know anything about his yacht. Bearded Native says, how do y'all feel about Kadarius Toney? We talked about him a little bit earlier, I think. I like buying him because of the draft capital, and he looked really good in a couple games he managed to play. So I'm pretty in on Kadarius Toney, I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
Speaking of the Cardinals, okay, I've talked about this. This is good. Kirk just went out to dinner with Josh Allen. He would fit in their slot nicely and let Beasley go from Ed. I said this when I posted, where does Christian Kirk go in free agency? I said he would go to the Bills because he does everything that Beasley and Sanders do in one person. So I am in on this landing spot. They need a slot receiver to complement Diggs and Davis on the outside. So this would be perfect landing spot. It would really hurt Gabriel Davis's value because they're not signing Kirk to give him no targets. So, it would hurt Diggs a little bit more. Davis and Knox would be hurt by this signing. But I think it's very realistic. And Ed is buying Toney. I bought him in a couple of leagues too. I think Beard Name's referring to Toney. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I like buying Toney. And Adrian says Christian Kirk to the Bills would be insane. Yeah, I've said many times it's exactly what they need. They have a really good alpha number one outside wide receiver in Diggs, a good secondary outside wide receiver in Davis, a good, solid, all-round tight end in Knox. And all they need is a reliable slot receiver who can do a little bit more and be moved around the formation a bit. And that's what Kirk would be. So, yeah, it works perfectly.
Oh.
Clyde asks, what was the Saints' logic in extending Taysom Hill for so much money? No idea.
Nobody knows.
No idea. Nobody knows. Ask Sean Payton, but I couldn't tell you. Ed says the Saints were a lost cause with Taysom Hill. I agree. I have criticized them. I'm on the record hours and hours and hours of this, criticizing them. They can use Hill at running back. Well, they have Kamara. I don't know how much time Kamara is going to miss for his legal issue, but I do expect Kamara will be back eventually, even if it's 6 games missed. They extended Ingram. They have Tony Jones. So I don't think they're going to make any additional acquisition. I heard a lot of people saying like James Conner is going to sign with the Saints. And I was like, no, they extended Ingram. They don't have room for another running back. They're going to suck also. I don't know why they would spend money on a running back. But anyway, we have come to the end of our show.
Yeah.
This was very active chat. People really came in, and maybe it's because today's President's Day. People have today off. That might be why. But anyway, plug your stuff.
Yeah, you can find my Twitter down here. Yes, right hand this time at RyanPros_FF. I'll be writing for the Vipers. I'm going to start some rookie stuff coming up here real soon. And I just look at Tom Brady's super yacht. Yeah, he's not coming back to football.
I love it.
77 feet long.
That is insane. Yeah. So as for me, you know where to find me. You can find me on Twitter at DLF_carp. It's right there. Other than that, I will post a couple of links. This is the link to my Patreon. It's at the bottom of the chat. So you can sign up there if you want personalized advice from me. And then if you want to read these articles that I always talk about, that is my DLF author profile. So all my articles are there. And then subscribe to this YouTube channel if you're watching this one. Please subscribe, like the video, help promote us. If you're listening on podcast form, thank you for listening to the podcast. Like and subscribe either on Apple or Spotify, wherever you are, and follow whatever it's called on your platform, and leave a review as well. That helps the algorithm the most on the podcasts. And then lastly, my DLF YouTube channel. I posted the link. There's not my channel, but my Ask DLF show every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern is on the DLF YouTube channel, which you can find at that link. I'll post all these links in the comments as well. But you can find my Ask DLF there every Tuesday at 9 p.m. where I do essentially what we just did, answering all these questions. But, I have Cal with me as well to help host and answer. And sometimes Addison appears. Yeah. And Ryan is the only other person other than those two who've ever actually been on that show. Actually, that's not true. Bob Gilchrist made a cameo at some point. He was promoting something. I forget what he's promoting. But he was promoting something. So he made a cameo. But it's a very small crew of who's actually been on that show. This was a good show. We will be back same time next week. And thanks to everyone watching, listening, and I'll see you then.
Yep, see you.
Peace.